Conservative New Media viewers, what's up? We're here to react to the second Republican 2016 presidential debate that was held tonight on CNN here in the United States. And this was a long debate. This was a 3-hour debate. They covered all kinds of things. It was hosted, as I mentioned, by CNN, and it was moderated primarily by Jake Tapper, as well as Hugh Hewitt and Dana Bash. Now, let's just go over a little bit. First, let me go over the candidates that I'm not as much concerned about. Let's just take them out of the equation quickly. John Kasich, he was solid. He did okay, but I don't think he's going to be much of a factor. Rand Paul had a pretty good night, I thought, but also I don't think he's going to be a meaningful factor down the stretch of this campaign season. Chris Christie as well. I thought Christie did well. I liked his closing statement about how the world would be different if he was president. And finally, Mike Huckabee, the former governor, he had a couple of nice moments of rhetorical flourish, but in the end, probably he's not going to be doing too much in this race either. So let's get to the 6 or 7 candidates that might have a little more staying power and what we thought about them. First of all, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio got a lot of applause in this debate tonight. I thought he made some good statements. I thought he came off well. I mean, Marco is a good speaker. He has a good command of the facts. The problem with him, for me, and this is kind of the criticism that I had of Ted Cruz in the first debate, was his speaking voice can be a little bit, can be a little bit weak, a little too high-pitched, just not strong or authoritative. And I don't mean to criticize people and how they speak and stuff, but this is a performance. This is basically like grading an actor, essentially. And so these types of things matter. And I'll come back to this later when I talk about Senator Cruz. So I thought Marco had a good night. He'll probably come up a little bit in the polls, but I don't know if he's going to, I don't know if tonight was a game changer for him. Okay. So moving on from him, Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin. I thought Governor Walker had a strong night. He had much more of a presence, I thought, in this debate than he did in the first debate. He came across as with more strength, with more conviction, with more verve. He just needed a bit more energy, and I thought that he delivered on that tonight. That being said, when you compare Governor Walker with more energetic or more authoritative figures, such as Donald Trump, I still don't know if it's enough. Look, I thought Governor Walker did great in the first debate, but it didn't turn out that way in the polls. It didn't really bounce him. And so I don't know how much this is going to help him out in the polls either. Maybe it'll raise him up a little bit, though, because I do think that, objectively speaking, he did better tonight than he did in the first debate. Carly Fiorina, this was the first time in the big debate. The last time she was not on the main stage. She was in the secondary debate. I thought that Carly did well. She knew her facts. She had a good appearance. She had a good presence, so to speak. She gave a female tenor to the conversation where it had not been before. I thought she had her good moments, particularly when she kind of called out Donald Trump on his remarks about her face. And she's a competent, professional person. She came across well. She speaks pretty well, and so on. I thought she was a little bit too rehearsed in some of her remarks. Like her closing remark clearly sounded like something that had been prepared. It was almost like memorization type of a thing. I don't know where she's going to go in the polls. I would imagine this would boost her up if for no other reason. She's getting more exposure than she got in the past. But I thought she acquitted herself well. There are people who felt that Carly was put into this debate tonight to kind of trip up or go against Donald Trump. If that was the case, I don't think that succeeded, or I don't think it succeeded to the extent that people might have hoped who could have been banking on that strategy. If that was the strategy, I don't think it worked to the extent that some people might have liked it to have worked. Okay, turning to Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush, he was better tonight than he was in the first debate. He had more energy. He was more humorous. Like when he said his nickname, he wanted to be Ever Ready, and he kind of slapped hands with Donald Trump, and he was being a little bit more energetic, a little more pep in his step. He was very good when he was defending his brother, President George W. Bush, thinking of his dad, about how he kept Americans safe. Whether you agree with that or not, or whatever your take is on that issue, I thought that Jeb came off as more authentic and strong in that moment than he has in many other moments. So I thought he had a good night, but as I would say with Governor Walker, I don't know how much it's actually going to boost him in the polls. Part of what happens in media, in entertainment, in politics is so much of this comes down to persona. It comes down to aura and technique and so on. And Jeb just, he doesn't necessarily fit the role in the way that even his brother did. Whatever you would say about George W. Bush, he had swagger. He had Jack, right? He had an aura, and people could attach to that. And now that we're getting more into kind of the, I don't know what you want to call it, postmodern or the celebrity presidency era, that kind of matters. It's almost like the extent of when John F. Kennedy went against Richard Nixon, and they went on TV, and it was like, wait a second. All of a sudden, appearance matters a whole bunch, where it might not have meant so much before. Now it's like entertainment and presentation matters more. And those are not Jeb's strengths. But obviously, he's very competent. He was a governor, a multi-term governor, I believe. So he knows his stuff. I just don't know if he is what is going to work in this political climate. Okay, let's go to Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Ben Carson has become the primary challenger, the person who is closest in the polls fairly consistently with frontrunner Donald Trump. If you like Ben Carson, then I think that you're going to feel that Dr. Carson did a good job tonight. And I think he did a good job. The one thing that's nice about Dr. Carson is he's comfortable in his own skin. He's not trying to be something that he's not. In other words, maybe Jeb's trying to be more energetic in this debate because his consultants told him to do that. Well, Dr. Carson's consistent. Okay, he's low energy, he's whatever, but that's who he is. He's not going to try to change that. So he just kind of comes out. He's going to just be a little bit understated, be thoughtful, be just more mild-mannered. He's not as worried about entertainment and this type of thing. Within that frame, he did excellent tonight. He knows his facts. Yeah, he had some contentious moments about immigration and amnesty, and is he really for amnesty or is he not for amnesty? But I thought he handled himself well. And look, whatever he's doing has been working in the polls. So he certainly didn't do anything tonight to hurt himself. My guess is this might even boost him a little bit. The people that like him, this would reassure those people, yeah, this guy's legit. I thought the story about his mother being one of 24 kids and her whole story will resonate with people. And I thought he had a good performance tonight. Now let's turn to the final two people, and these people or both of them are mentioned in the title of this video. Ted Cruz. I criticized Senator Cruz in the first debate because I thought he sounded weak. His speaking voice was weak. And that's what my criticism tonight is of Marco Rubio. And that's just the way Marco talks. Tonight, Ted Cruz was 100% better. He was forceful. His voice sounded strong. He looked right at the camera. He was on topic. He was on point. I thought he was extremely good tonight. And I expect him to get a bounce in the polls out of this. This was a man who learned from the first debate performance and made the necessary alterations to do better in this debate. And I thought he did fantastic in this debate. Not even going off on the substance, just the way he performed in the debate forum. Looking at the camera, being strong, talking strong, etc., showed me this is definitely somebody who can adapt quickly. This is a very intelligent person, and this is a person who wants to win. And this is somebody who's is looking to succeed by making these changes. So I thought he did a terrific job. Look, Ted Cruz is a very bright man. He graduated from Princeton and Harvard Law, I believe. He knows his stuff, whether you agree with him or not. And tonight he put together that intelligence with the proper performance requirements to get the result that I think he and his supporters are looking for. So I thought he did fantastic in this debate overall. Now, finally, let's get to Donald Trump. There will be people who will say Trump didn't win the debate. There will be people who say that Trump was weak or whatever. Trump came into this debate, in my opinion, wanting to coast. In other words, he didn't want to make any mistakes. Look, Donald Trump's a very confident man. I mean, he's never going to play defense. He's never going to be afraid of making a mistake. That's just not the way he thinks. That's not the way he operates. So even if you tell him to tone it down, he's still going to speak his mind. And that's what he did tonight. But he did it at a lower volume. He kind of ramped it down a little bit. He took the criticisms. He got presented with the Carly Fiorina face comment, and he rolled with that. So I thought that Donald Trump, as the front runner in the polls, as the leader in the polls, which he is in almost any metric on any measurement in any state, except for a couple few exceptions, he just kind of rolled with it. But he still did it in a way to kind of dominate the conversation. This is what people talked about in Alpha Trump and all this stuff. Trump he's almost like a force of nature. He sucks all the oxygen out of the room from everybody else. And so he knows that, and everybody else knows it, because Donald Trump has decades as an established celebrity and as an established persona and as an established success. I mean, you're talking about somebody who's a multi-billionaire. He doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to say anything. He's already said it. He's already done it. So all he needed to do tonight was not lose ground. And I thought in that sense he did just fine. Maybe his numbers will come down a little bit. There's a couple of hits on him and stuff, and some other people will bounce up a little bit. But I thought that Donald Trump overall was strong. He did what he needed to do tonight, which was endure the attacks that are going to be brought to you about Carly Fiorina comments and other things that you've said, vaccinations, so on and so forth. But he did it in a way in that his presentation still comes off as he's the guy in control. He knows he's ahead, and everybody else knows it too. And that is going to serve him well. In terms of what Donald said, in terms of the actual substance of what he said, look, he could have a few more specifics. He could be a little bit sharper in terms of his presentation. If I was working with him, I'd tell him, Donald, might be good if you lost about 30 pounds just to kind of, help your posture out and some of these types of things. But he still succeeded tonight. If Donald Trump doesn't out and out lose debates, if he does not make huge gaffes in these debates, in my opinion, he wins because he's leading in the polls. So I thought that Donald Trump did what he needed to do tonight. He stayed strong. He's still the leader and in control. And the person who made the biggest move, in my opinion, tonight in this debate was Senator Ted Cruz. That's what I think about this. What do you think about it? JDV and maybe Salma as well will be doing a video on this, so they'll be giving their input. I talked with him really quickly, but I still don't know all of his thoughts. So look for that video to come as well. What do you think? Give us your opinions in the comment section below. Who do you think won the debate? Who are you rooting for? How do you think the moderation was tonight? I want to say, I thought that the CNN team in general did a good job. I think they did a much better job than the Fox News crew did in the first debate. Now, they still came after Trump. They were still, in my opinion, they were still clearly looking to take on Trump and kind of put him under the microscope, looking to try to get him to stumble a little bit. So I will say that. But they did it. I thought that the manner of the moderators was more pleasant, and it just came across better and less combative than was the manner and the approach of the Fox News crew in the first debate. And that matters. It's very important for the moderators to understand you have a role to fulfill, but you are not the reason why people are watching this. They want the candidates to take control. You throw out the pitches, you let the candidates take the swings. And I thought the CNN did a better job of doing that than did Fox News. Okay, that's it for now. I can't remember when the next debate is for the Republicans. It might not be for another month or so. So that is it. Again, tell us what you thought in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We're very interested in this political nomination process. We're watching this. We're watching the Democrats. And we'll be keeping you up to date with it as more debates and more information comes in. Take care.